everyone, welcome to my studio. On the workbench this week, I want to finish this commission. I'm not sure if I will be able to finish piecing it or not because the rest of the spaces in here are pretty much custom cut. But I have a method for dealing with something like that. And I do have 4 more weeks to work on it before my deadline. I'm going to finish it way before then, which is kind of nice because when I back up, here is the view of my workbench. Kind of a royal mess. And I like to just get this finished so that I can clean up a bit. That's it. I have a little tip / technique I use when I have a project like this that seems as if I keep custom cutting pieces and yet it's not finished yet. And that is I quadrant it off into different sections and I work on one section at a time. I know I'll have to move the tape to get what's underneath the tape, but this makes it more manageable. Move that down. Now I can focus on this area, get it knocked out. I can move the tape if I need to and just work on one area at a time. It's less overwhelming. Anyway, it just keeps me a little bit more sane. I've been working away on this and I have completed this bottom quadrant. So now before I go to work on this one, I'll take this tape and move it over. Just finished this other area on the bottom, and so now I'm going to move this tape down. And I'm also going to flip this around so that I can reach it better and see it better. Project that I'm going to start this week, and I think it's going to take me quite a while, and it is this fountain. It's going to take me a while because I have to build the base and wrap it with mesh and cover it with thinset, make sure it's all sturdy, and so assembling it is going to take me quite a while before I can even begin the mosaic. And so this is the basic design of it, only I think the top part I will make arched right here. And so it's going to have a simple copper spout, and then I'm going to hand make a basin where it can trickle out in 3 different areas into a basin on the bottom. And I have purchased a plastic bin to fit in here, but I'm still going to build a housing and probably mosaic the housing. And depending on what it looks like, I don't know how much I'll be able to cover, because I'll have to put mesh in there to prevent leaves and things from getting in there. And I have to also build a housing to cover up the pump. And I've already purchased the pump right here. And I've already purchased some of the pieces. So let me show you. Here it is so far. This is probably where I'm gonna be putting it on my deck. And here is this is just a plastic planter, but I just wanted to use something that was already waterproof so I didn't have to mess with making sure that my seams and everything were 100% waterproof. This way it's good to go to start with and I don't have to mess with that. And I'm gonna cut it down quite a bit. This is a full-size sheet. It's the 2-inch board, and I'm going to probably, I don't know, I'll just have to see, but I've got to cut that down. And then this is going to be the face. So I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to cut a channel out of the middle to put the tubing that comes out. So that's going to be in the back. And then this will be the face of it. I'm going to have some feet that come out just to stabilize it. And I have a piece of this, but this one is not tall enough, so I don't think I can use it. I have to use the wedi. So this is where I'm starting. After I cut off the top, I'm going to bring down the center line and find the center point and get that arch at the top. But first I'm going to cut that line across there. And this is where that pot is. All right, I'm getting ready ready to put the radius on here, and I don't have a compass that's big enough, so I'm using the old string trick to do it. So I've already tied it off. Let's see if it works. The trick is to hold the pin completely vertical. Okay, well, you can see I didn't get it in the middle. So let's try that again. I have my middle point is right here. Yeah, right here. Alright, let's try that again. I had it in the middle. At least this will all be covered up with mosaic in the end, right? Here we go again. Take two. Oh, looks better already. There we go. All right, that's my arch. Now, so I don't mess this up. Not that line. Not that line. There we go. Now to cut it. Last string cut. Before I cut anything else, I just put it in place to make sure that it is the profile that I wanted. I did bring it up so that it's plenty high above the window frame there, and I like the way that it fits in that space. Getting ready to cut the opening for the water reservoir that's in the bottom, and I want to make sure that I have enough space for what I'm going to put around it. So my WediBoard is a 1/2 inch, so I've got at least a little bit over 1/2 inch, and I am going to have to put mesh and everything on there, so I figure if it's a little short, I can always cut into the planter, cut down the planter. It's just plastic in the back, the part that fits under this. So. But anyway, so here is my opening. It's centered, it's all good. Right now it works. If it's not big enough, I can always make it bigger, but I'm gonna start with this. This section is done, and now I'm moving on to the very last one. So I will move the tape over. Right here. Yay. Last piece. Yay. I just finished piecing this, so I will give it one more once over just to make sure I've got all of the substrate covered. And I am going to take a picture, send this to the client, get approval, and then I'll be grouting it. That's it. All right, so I have the first part set up. I put the pump in the bottom. I put the water spout right there coming out where I drilled the hole. And again, I'm going to build a frame out of wedi to cover that plastic basin. But the next step would be to fill up the basin with water so I can turn it on. All right, now the pump is completely submerged in there. The tubing, I was a little bit worried about that that the pump might not be big enough for that tubing to go all the way up, but that's the tubing that came with it, so I'm hoping it'll work. Oh, I'm gonna plug it in. Here we go. Oh, it works. Wow, that was fast. Thought it would take a second. First of all, that's gonna have to come back. Quite a strong pump. With a little light in there too. So So this isn't really working, but I will figure that out. I've just laid the Hydroban board on top of the WediBoard so I can trace it, and then I'll be able to cut out the WediBoard. Now that I have it set up, I am reevaluating. Because this tubing is so thin, I think I'll put the WediBoard on the back and cut the channel through the WediBoard. Then it will have a lot more stability, just because this is 2 inches, so it's much stronger. But that piece that I cut out of the bottom is perfect for the front of that thing that I'm gonna make. And I have to do the sides, but it's getting there. Whew. I'm gonna drill the hole for the spout and test it out again. I've drilled the hole a little bit bigger, and I'm just wedging it in here for the test. Eventually it'll have to be in there permanently. And remember, I was planning on putting a catch basin here where it could dribble down the sides. I really want it to make a lot of noise because I have traffic noise that I'm trying to cover up. I'm gonna test it again. Well, it's going in the catch basin now, but that's something I'll just have to fool with later. The more I think about this, it's going to work great because I can put tape and thinset and make a channel that I can thread the tubing through, and it'll be mostly open, but it'll be secure in a few places. And then this, because I'm going to put the little shelf that holds the spillover water kind of midway up, I can cut a slot to hold it. And I also did get a bracket to hold it, so it'll be nice and secure because that's much fatter, so it'll hold it better. All right, I've cut out a notch with my jigsaw for this little splash basin. It goes all the way through. And I still have room here to add the bracket underneath. Not sure which way I'll do it, but I can screw the bracket on, so that'll give it added stability. And then after I do that, I will be adding epoxy sculpt to the edges to make the spouts that come down, and also to level it up a little bit in the middle so that the water goes the ways that I want it to go. All right, I have also cut out the pieces to hide the reservoir at the bottom. This will be the part that has the mosaic on it. So I am going to tape that together and maybe even put thinset on it today. I like where this is falling. I might tip it more so it doesn't hit as far out. But with the lip on here and everything else, I think it's gonna work. And it's not really going in the basin right now, but it occurs to me I'm gonna have to figure this portion out and get it right before I stick the rest of it together. Oh, and I put my taped thing around the base and it's looking good. Now I'm thinking maybe I'll put a cap on the top. I don't know. We'll see. It's a new day. I completely covered the basin cover with thinset, and it fits. It's very snug, especially on this side. I'll probably put another coat on, and I am going to put a cap on, I believe, and I'll just have it come, the lip will just come out over this way and cover that rim. And then that's it. I'm not messing with this anymore. As far as this goes, I was thinking of stabilizing it by putting some wings coming up, but I don't like the look of that. So I'm just going to attach hanging hardware to the back so that it can be attached to the wall. I am going to keep this 2 separate pieces so that I can move it and disassemble it as needed. And I'm not going to build a housing to go over the pump, I don't think. I was going to do that out of WediBoard, but I can always add that later if I want to. I am going to put mesh in the bin to cover all the business back there, and that's it. We'll have to finish this thing too. So what I've got are 4 of these wedi washers that punch into the foam. I've got 2 nuts. I've got 2 number 8 32 by 1 inch screws with a flat head, the machine screws, and I'm ready to put it all together. And then I've got the D-rings. So this is the back. I'm going to put the screw through, punch it up this way, put the D-ring on, and I'm going to use this closer hole because I can't use both holes. Then the nut, and that is just hand assembling it. All right, got the screwdriver underneath. To attach the bracket, I have drawn a line. This is the 2 inch thickness of the slot that I made for the catch basin. And I have found the center line, so I'm gonna line it up. This will be the bottom of the fountain, and I've just got 2 screws to go through, and I'm going to punch them through. These are 1 inch screws, and then to go on the 2 inch board, I've got these 2.5 inch screws with the nuts. Right now I am creating a rim out of the WediBoard, and I will be taping it. It's another new day, and the first order of business is to cut these screws off. I've got a Dremel, and I'll be cutting them off right now. So much better on these, nice and flush now. They do stick up a little bit, so I'll be covering with mesh. I'll putting thinset on there. I'm gonna be gluing the 2 pieces together and then wrapping with mesh and thin setting. Hopefully all that today, we'll see. I also just cut off these screws that were on the back where the hanging anchor is. I just used the power grab to glue the 2 pieces of board together, and then I will be prepping it so that I can put the mosaic on. Of mesh that's not sticky rather than tape across the opening because I don't want that stickiness there. And then I've taped it down with tape, so I'll put the thinset on either side. I'll do this side first because then I'll have to prop it up to do the back since that tray is on there. I did not make enough thinset, so I'm gonna have to mix up some more and then I'll get back after it. That's it. While I'm waiting for that second batch of thinset to slake, I decided to try to think about my design a little bit. So far, I think on the edges and maybe in the front, I will be putting a border that has squares, but they'll be positioned like this, like diamonds, with other things around it. Now, I'm not sure. I want to get some tiles for that I don't have to cut, so it'll be nice and even. But then I might put gems in there. I'm not sure. So I only have 2.5 inches on the side, and I think on the front it's a little bit wider. But anyway, I wanted to put some climbing roses, and then I was thinking maybe a different flower over here, clematis, possibly, with hummingbirds, these 2, a butterfly, or 2. Anyway, that's my plan so far, but I think I want the sides to be blues and greens, and I don't know what color the rose is. Maybe white, just to make it a little more neutral. I decided to go ahead and cover the entire back with a coat of the thinset, a skim coat, just so that the back has a nice clean look and it's not splotchy. The front, it doesn't even matter if it's splotchy because it's all going to get covered, but that way that cleans up the back and makes it look much, much better. I've measured off the top cap to go on the basin, and now I'm going to cut it out with the jigsaw. Now it's time for me to go over this with just to sand it down. It is not cured all the way, and I found it is way easier to sand if it's just been drying for a few hours. I tried it earlier and it kind of clogged up my sanding block, so it's been a couple more hours and now it's just about perfect. Here it is, all assembled. It's almost done. I just need to put the top cap on with tape and thinset, and I have to let it cure before I can mosaic it. I can't even believe it got this far. I also have to, I guess I have to fool around with the spout, and I have to figure out how the water flows and make sure it's not too splashy, and make sure it goes into the basin, and that it evenly flows. But other than that seems pretty simple, doesn't it? I can't believe it. Yay, it looks pretty good. I think I just need to make these areas a little more spouty so they'll come out further instead of dripping under. And as far as this goes, this is pretty loosey-goosey, so I can adjust that as needed. Time for me to start grouting. I just want to point out that there are some big height differences in some of this glass. That's going to mean that it's going to take extra time cleaning at the end. That's putting it together. I know this one was a little bit longer, so thanks for sticking it out, and we'll see you next time.